picture.
She's an undercover feminist. So
Yeah.
would you consider yourself a feminist in any way?
I consider myself the textbook definition of feminism when it says that I believe in equal rights. I want women to have the same ability to do things as men. I am not the modern wave of feminism.
But you know they can't, right? Like
Look, if you want to go work in the lumberyard, you're allowed to do that. Are you going to do well? Probably not. But like I said, it's textbook definition. I'm not supporting any of the feminism that got us to where we are today. But like if you've ever watched anything I've ever said, that's very clear. I shouldn't even have to like explain that. These people are like so fucking brainwashed.
Well, I guess because my question would be like, would you? Because we were talking earlier about like women's right to vote, and you think we should have it then? Shouldn't have it, like, because
look, if women didn't vote, things would probably be a bit better. But it would be hypocritical for me to be like, I would support banning it. No, they can vote. They just vote and ruin our country.
Well, my thing is they should be enlisted in selective service then. And if I had to be, you know what selective service is?
Well, also, isn't that like what the like in Israel, like everyone serves for a certain amount of time, and it's like also kind of badass. All the chicks I hang out with, their moms, they know how to like shoot guns and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, it seems like it worked out pretty well for you guys.
I don't think so. I mean, I've heard from a lot of guys that are in the military that what happened, like, because what I see happening in society is I see women getting big egos from jobs that are not as important or special or as needed as the jobs the men are doing and getting overpaid for them. So what I see happening is they tend to get these big egos thinking they're doing the same thing the men are, but it's very obviously not. Like when you look at the output of society, women, like men make 90% of the world's stuff.
Yeah.
Like our jobs could disappear tomorrow, society would run fine, but our income is going close to the same. Why is that? We're getting overpaid. So I don't know. I think that personally, like if feminists want to be equal, they should be equal.
You mean go do the difficult jobs to become more equal in that sense?
Correct. Or if you want to vote, I think you should get selective service with it.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be married, right, I think it should be 50-50, no child support, no alimony.
Well, okay, but you'll agree, this is like typical women. They're like, we want to be equal unless it's something I don't really like or something that doesn't benefit me. We want all the benefits, but we want none of the negatives. Okay, so that's pretty much everyday life with women at this point.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think like I understand his point, not really.
But he's just doing this shit for clicks. He saw.
No, I think Myron believes I think he believes what he says, to be honest. What he's talking about is women, like Megyn Kelly, she's done the trad wife stuff for years and saying you can do it all. And at some point, like you have to pick. Yeah. You know, you can't really have a full-fledged media career and have young children. Like something's got to give.
Well, something is going to be sacrificed.
Yeah, and that's what I think you were getting at, is a lot of the women are having these full-fledged media careers and pretending they're trad, and it's just not.
And I'm asking them, how the fuck are you a trad wife when you're online and you're working full-time?
Correct.
I'm confused. Like Allie Beth Stuckey, whatever the fuck her name is. I don't fucking know because I've never. I don't like follow these people. Like said something and then she subtweeted someone else who was like, I talk to my children about stimulating things all day. I'm like, yeah, you talk to your fucking 9-year-old about
and they
geopolitical issues. That's amazing.
And they still order men around. If you're a traditional woman, you don't think it's your place to tell men what to do.
But yet they do.
And they always nag men on because I'm in the red pill side, right?
Yeah.
And like what they'll do is they'll nag men on, like Lila Rose was on Justin Waller and she was nagging him about he talks about stepping out or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, why is it your place to tell a guy how to run his household?
Doesn't that go against your own beliefs?
Exactly.
But also, I look at her profile and I'm like, cool, so you have almost 1 million followers, which means you do social media full-time, you have a full-time show, you also did a book, you're probably doing a book tour.
Yeah, I know.
So you're all fucking hypocrites.
That's why when I was listening to the video, it's funny because I know both of you, so I was like, I know what he's talking about, but I don't think you guys are talking about like the same thing.
That's the thing. Also, people are taking what I say and they're giving their own meaning and definition. Where I'm like, yeah, but none of you like asked me to elaborate on like really my point of it. Like if you've watched my content for 5 years, I've never once said anything negative towards stay-at-home wives because I'm like, every single person somehow missed the entire point of that. It's okay for women to want to work and contribute. It's okay to do both. Actually, it really doesn't affect any of these people's lives.
Well, and if you were a real trad wife, you could actually make money. Like, I mean, how many people need to hire cooks, clean? You know what I mean? Like, that's a skill too.
Yeah, and also it's like not all of us want to live the same lifestyle. Like that's great. Like you can be 20 and like live in Arkansas and have 6 kids, and you can, you know, your husband can
Women
control
aren't
every
doing
dollar,
that. Women aren't
every
doing
dollar
that.
you fucking spend. That's not me. And I'm like, I hate it. At the end of the day, I'm like, I feel like a lot of you guys just kind of like envy my life. I'm like, I make my own money. I pay all my own bills. And like at the end of the day, I hate to say it, like say you're gonna, like say I'm trying to marry into someone who comes from a ton of money, good traditional family, very educated. Do you think they're gonna be stoked when their son is like, hey, I want you to meet this girl, I wanna marry her. Oh, what does she do? Nothing. Oh, what does she do all day, every day while you work? Oh, she has my credit card. Okay, what's her education? 0. Or are they gonna want him to be with someone who's at least somewhat educated and has some sort of skills, maybe potentially intelligent, and does something that's a skill, which doesn't mean you're gonna do that forever. But it's good to see that you're capable of that and you do it at one point in time. I'm fine with being a stay-at-home mom. That's great. But I also might want to work as well. And sometimes women have children, and then after they've all left the nest, they go back to work, and that's okay too. But this whole thing of like, there's a definite answer, no. There's no definite answer.
Well, there's no such thing as a traditional woman in this society because they're only traditional as long as she wants to. And I was just on a show, I was telling you earlier, with a couple of Christian guys, right? And they kept asking me if there was exceptions, right? And if they could have a traditional relationship. And I said, well, you can as long as she says yes to it. But
then ironically, isn't she in control?
That's the point. And in this environment, you cannot have a traditional, and I feel for a lot of the guys because I know that's what they want, and I really hope they can get it. But
I hope everyone gets what they want in life.
But unfortunately, women just don't really want to do that anymore. You know,
it's also just not really realistic, especially when like what do girls see now? They see like every girl does OnlyFans and makes like $300,000 a month. So it's like and unfortunately a lot of the same guys talking shit to me are the same guys that pay and consume that content. And I'm kind of like, also a lot of these guys are like, oh, I have a wife. I say, okay, you make $40,000 a year. Like, please shut the fuck up. 90% of the men talking shit to me can't even afford to like pay for dates. Nevertheless, wife and children, like be real. We live in a very expensive place.
The challenge you get is women just want a lifestyle a lot of times and they won't sacrifice it for the kid. Like I would have girls come on my show and say they couldn't afford kids, but I could see their Botox. Like I could see the fake nails, the fake, like I kind of
designer bags, clothing. Yes.
Correct. So a lot of them probably, and because I've spoken to people that live out more in the country and they're able to have kids, right? It's just, they go down a lot on lifestyle. They don't travel.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and you admit that, but that's like the caveat is women just don't want that.
Yeah, I'm not lying.
Yeah,
I admit that I want someone to come cook. I want what we have a maid. I want a maid more often. I want a nanny. I want to be able to travel with my husband and have someone watch my children and not lie about it and shame others on the internet like all these women do to me. And I just admit that that's the lifestyle I want, and maybe I won't accept less than that. So maybe right now I'm like, well, why don't I contribute to making that dream happen and get up off of my ass and do something about it?
How would you see nannies like going in your lifestyle?
Like, what do you mean?
I don't know. I think nannies aren't really good for kids because I grew up with them.
Yeah.
And it's pretty tough to have like rotating people kind of in and out of your life. And I'm not against it. I'm just curious what like your thoughts on how you would do that.
I mean, it's weird because like so many people have different nannies, different kinds of nannies. Some people have babysitters. Like, are we talking about like I used to be a nanny? So it's like, you know what I mean? Or people have ones that like live with them, come in and out. I mean, I think it's like everything else in life. You just try to be very specific, choose the best you can, do whatever you can. I don't know. My thing is like, I also try not to speak on things I haven't done myself and gone through myself.
Yeah, that's fair enough, yeah.
Which is like also something people should take fucking note on. Listening to a bunch of 20-year-olds who have never been married or have children tell me how their life is gonna go according to plan. Check in with me in 20 years.
I know, that's the thing. It's always trad like right now. And I cover women all the time, like they marry young and you see them and they get bored at like 31 and they're like, it's time to party.
They're like, I missed out on so much. You know what's funny? Those conservative women at 20 will probably end up being like fucking liberal women at 35.
No, that's what happened to Lauren Southern. I don't know if you know her. I don't know her personally, but do you know her?
I know of her. I know nothing about
Yeah,
her.
she did the same thing. Got Crowder, same thing. Got married young. Felt like they were bored.
Dude, that's why I tell people, I'm like, you know, what works for you isn't gonna work for someone else. And at the end of the day, what do I give a shit what people do with their lives? As long as you're not like hurting people intentionally, I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm just gonna do what works for me, and I'm gonna try to make the best choices for myself, my boyfriend, my husband, my children, and that's all I think I can do at the end of the day. But I just try not to be full of shit. Like,